What's up? I'm talking about something a little different, a little atypical, a little strange for me, something that I just want to bring up to the group at large, I guess. So, I want to take you guys on a chaotic journey with me to do something a little different. We talk a lot about running and about working out and about even like food choices and eating and things like that. I want to take you guys with me while I dig into what's going to be, outside of marathoning, probably my most ambitious project to date. And because I am crazy, we are starting them together. You're coming with me at almost the same time. I'm not going to be able to finish both projects simultaneously. Marathon training is going to take priority, but I do want to start sharing with you guys one of the things that I do in my downtime to help soothe some of my creative tendencies and to help keep my mind and my body busy in a way that's not as, draining as running a lot or lifting heavy weights. Nice little creative fun time. I, as you know, love to sew. I talked to you guys about my niece's prom dress and about a couple other projects that I've done. And now I think it's time that I start making stuff again for myself. And like I said, it's going to be a big project because I have decided that I am going to be making my own wardrobe, which sounds crazy, but I've already done it. Let me explain. So way back when, over a decade ago, when I moved out on my own, it was 2014 and it was prime capsule wardrobe era. Do you know what I'm talking about? Everyone was talking about the 33 piece or 100 pieces for a year, or the 5-piece French, or just the pyramid or the Sudoku style. There's a bunch of different formats, but everyone was like, oh my God, capsule wardrobes are the best. And I bought into it, mainly because I was the target audience. I moved into my own apartment. I had one master bedroom. It was just me. There were 2 closets. There was one meant for probably a guy. It had like the 2 normal height shelves, and then there was one probably intended for a woman with dresses, and then other shorter shelves, and both were full with clothes, normal everyday clothes that I didn't always wear, and I got very overwhelmed very quickly. And then I, like a lot of people, found the capsule wardrobe minimalism trends and went, that's for me. And it never went away fully. Like, I started paring down the clothes that I had, and then it just kind of started going from there. I clearly spent a lot of time thinking about this because I was thinking about the fact that there's like the pyramid one where you start with like 5 or 7 tops, 4 or 5 bottoms, and then up the pyramid, it's fewer pieces until you get to like 1 or 2 dresses. It's pretty simple. That's pretty basic. There's the Sudoku one, which I didn't think I was going to like, and I did like. And then there is, I don't know if you've seen this before. I feel like at some point, anyone that did a capsule wardrobe deep dive saw the 5-piece French wardrobe list. I'm upset to tell you that after almost a decade, I did this from memory. 5-piece French is not actually clearly 5 pieces. It's you build a base wardrobe, and then every season you add 5. Those are just a couple of the ones that I have tried before. The pyramid one was probably where I started when I pared down on my own. But I told you guys, I have made my own capsule wardrobe before, and that's not a lie. I actually set it up when I was planning the pieces as a Sudoku style, where I had 4 tops, 4 bottoms, 4 shoes, and 4 extras. And this was something that I made in 2023. I think I made a piece every month in terms of the bottoms, the tops, and the extras. The shoes, most of which I already had, I bought an extra pair or 2, and Converse that weren't busted. But that was what I did, and it was, and still is in a lot of ways, my pride and joy. I kept it pretty monochromatic, a lot of blacks, some gray, and it was very much inspired by this kind of mixing of solar punk, which if you haven't looked into solar punk, do it. It's great. It's so cool. It gives me hope for the future, even when everything else takes it away. Solar punk is great. And I also really love Star Wars. Specifically, I've recently really gotten into the Height of the Empire era, not because of the Empire, but because I really love the narratives that are coming out around like Andor, Rogue One, even the Solo movie to some capacity, the first Star Wars Fallen Order game, the Rebels TV show, which if you can get past the animation style is fantastic. I love all of that. And I sort of went into this niche of solar punk meets like Jedi on the run. And because they're on the run, they're trying to hide. So they're wearing lots of like blacks and grays and like moody colors. And I loved everything that I did with that wardrobe. I did a couple wrap tops, like a tunic. I did something with a high neck. That was really cool. My pants were phenomenal. I think still to this day, my favorite like everyday piece that I made like a pair of cargo pants, and there's these zippers that are diagonal on the thighs that open up into pockets on the front. And I made those specifically to wear like through an airport, because then I know I can put my passport and like my wallet and my phone right in front of me. And I made those with like airports or like places where maybe I didn't know the area really well in mind, because then I'm always on high alert and no one's really going to think to go for the pocket on the front of the thigh. And if they do, it's probably not going to work. Probably. So, some of my favorite things that I've done, and the fact that I did it in a year is phenomenal. However, I have worn almost exclusively that a lot of the time for the last year and a half, and I am wearing it into the ground. And I love the fact that I'm getting so much use out of it. I'm doing a lot of upkeep with it, especially like some of my pants as we go on. But I am personally, aesthetically, and comfort-wise ready to do something a little different. So what I want to do, instead of doing a smaller Sudoku, I want to do something like this. Something like the 5 French piece, unrelated, but related. It's called a 5-piece French wardrobe. I don't know if this is actually how French people dress. I know that the mentality, though, is there, where it's more about simplicity and quality over quantity. That I understand. So, take that to the bank. Anyway, I don't know how I really feel about it nowadays. I did have almost exactly this. I changed up the color a little bit. Like, it recommends you use gray as one of the 3 colors for your shirts, and I used black, white, and lavender, which I thought was a really fun twist. It made it very me. But it oftentimes, and there are probably ways I could do this strategically, but oftentimes things like this, especially when they're so cut and dry, of like a white shirt, black slacks, flats, the trench coat, the cashmere sweater, the button-up, it feels almost generic. And that's, if you like the style, it's there, and it just also happens to be what's kind of generic now, who cares? But it's not exactly me. And there was a little less flexibility in it than I'd like. So I've decided to take this as a format and break it down into something a bit more manageable. So when you count it up, there's 11 tops, 7 bottoms, 4 of which, by the way, are different types of jeans, which I don't, for some reason that seems excessive to me. But it's 11 tops, 7 bottoms, 5 shoes, 4 jackets, and then 5 accessories. And to make it a little bit more me, and because I feel like I need a specific category for dresses, I'm thinking 10 tops, 6 bottoms, 3 jackets, and then if you're keeping track, that means that I have technically, if I'm keeping the same count of items, 3 spare slots that are going to be dresses. We're going to keep the 5 shoes, 5 accessories. And then for the seasonal, I'm going to have the 5-piece and then I'm going to have 5 earrings. Because I like my earrings a lot. I like them a lot. A lot. I can't really help it. And it seemed kind of weird to me to only have 1 pair of earrings, which is what most of the French piece wardrobes recommend. This is what we're doing. See? We're just changing some numbers. We're adding the dress category, and then we're gonna drop that in there. So that's where we're starting from, and I hope you saw my video last week, because I actually gave you guys a sneak preview of what that overall list, this modified French wardrobe, is going to be. There's one other thing that we're going to talk about before we get into the specifics of this. So I've told you guys what I've made before, what I want to make now, a little bit of my reasoning. There's 2 other big, 1, 2, 2. I said 1, I meant 2. There's 2 other big things that I want to share that are going to inspire me moving forward. And the first is stylistically where I'm coming from. So originally my Sudoku wardrobe, like I said, was very kind of like sci-fi, solar punk, Star Wars based. I want this next one to pull a little bit more from something more akin to fantasy, or Lord of the Rings, which is fantasy, not or. So fantasy, Lord of the Rings, like the Shire and Rohan very specifically. I love how cute and like soft and feminine and like frilly some of the Shire stuff is, but it also is a little utilitarian in some of its design. They are practical people who have the opportunity to make things fancy because they have the time and the energy, in comparison to what we see from Rohan, which is a lot of very earthy textiles, earthy colors, and there are structure to the garments, but they also have a decent amount of movement to them. Thinking of like Eowyn out in front of the Golden Hall in Edoras, you know the shot. We all know the shot where her hair and the dress and the banner and everything is moving so beautifully, but there's still a set structure to it. So those are sort of the 2 vibes that I'm trying to mesh into one, of this idea of something earthy and deliberate that has a space for softness, but also has a space for something more structured. The other thing is that I have been talking to you guys on and off about how I want to like act and eat, and that veganism is an important part of how I feed myself on a day-to-day basis. And while it's not how I always operate, it also has made its way into the choices that I make in terms of how I'm dressing myself, my skincare, my hair. Like I'm using shampoo meant to take out the bronzy coppery colors in my hair, but I'm only buying specific purple shampoos that are from vegan brands that are, you know, that don't test on animals. Those are like my criteria. I feel like it's pretty low. That's where I am. But while I'm making decisions for this wardrobe, I'm also going to be looking into vegan alternatives for specific fabrics and ways to purchase and source fabric that is less, has less of a harmful impact. So I will see if I can thrift what I can thrift. I believe, and I will double check this before I move ahead, I believe some of the fabric at Americana, which was affordable, was like off sell or like end of bolt or like error. And if that's the case, I would consider also like continuing to shop there, just because it keeps the fabric that would have ended up in a landfill out of a landfill, kind of a thing. But I'm also going to be looking for vegan alternatives, such as I might avoid, like I have a sweater and a vest that both probably traditionally would use a wool base, and I'm going to look for a wool alternative. And then a couple of my blouses, I'd like them to be kind of silky, or like I have a couple tops and skirts, but I'm going to look for something that is not traditional silk. So with that being said, when I started this a couple weeks ago, I showed you guys my appendices in the back, including this guy. Bloop. So this is my detailed list of this breakdown. Got 10 tops, 6 bottoms, 3 dresses, 3 outerwear pieces, 5 pieces of accessory, and 5 shoes, as promised. About half of my tops are a bit more casual, like a t-shirt or like a casual layering tank top, and then some of them are a bit dressier. There's a button up in there. I will be using this one until it falls apart, and then I will be crafting or finding one to use instead. There's like a sweater, like I mentioned. I'd love to do a nice kind of boxy sweater with maybe a scoop or a boat neck and in like a navy. And then I have a couple different blouses. These are more silky. This is where I'm going to be looking for a good silk alternative. One of them thinking ivory. I'm thinking romantic sleeves, maybe a little peplum pop. I originally was thinking like a poet top, which is very loose, but I think I might like something with a bit more structure. And then something that also has a corset detailing that's in a warmer tone. Usually like the Shire really vibes with greens and yellows. I don't know if everyone else knows this, but that's just preferred colors. But I think having something that's more of a corset style top that's a bit almost like cuter in a Shire capacity, but in a nice redder purple would be really nice. And then for my bottoms, fun fact, for those 6 bottoms, I have no jeans. I planned it and then afterwards went, look at that. I've got 2 skirts, a pair of leggings that I can dress up or dress down, and then 3 different types of pants, all of them having a higher waistline, maybe different detailing, but higher waistline, and then either a wide leg or a tailored narrowing leg. I think actually most of them are wide leg. No, sorry. I have a high-waisted brown that's tailored, so it's tailored and tapered on the leg. But then I have 2 pairs of wider leg trousers for comfort. 3 dresses. We got a wrap, a smocked, and a bias cut. So that I think the smocked dress probably is more of a dress down kind of a thing, whereas the wrap and the slip I could dress up. And for my outerwear, I've got cardigan, a kimono style like trench coat, and then I want to do a vest, which is weird for me. I don't do a lot of vests, but I think one that is more structured and has some stitch lines that are indicative of something a bit, like I said, more structured. And maybe have a higher neckline would be really cute. And then accessories and shoes. Accessories and shoes I'm probably buying. There's a couple accessories I might be able to make, but for the most part, I will be purchasing, hopefully secondhand, shoes and accessories if I cannot make it. So what I'm going to do, I have all of those pieces, and I need to start coming up with a plan to make them. So what I want to do next time, I'm going to fill this out with a plan for the first 16 pieces that I want to have. Whether it's an extra or a pair of shoes I have to thrift, or a top or a bottom that I have to make, I'm going to come up with this table, and then maybe I will do one dress. So I'm going to come up with 17 pieces that I think are going to be the best way to start this wardrobe and get started. So next time I see you, this will be filled out, and I will let you know where I'm starting with all of these, and we can start coming up with a plan. I'll show you guys all of my patterns and ideas, and we can just get going. So congratulations. We are now not only marathoners, I guess we're fashion designers. Let's go.